Hey guys, this is Kerry, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to make a collage file or a collage website looking a lot like this one. So first things first, I've sent you a zip file with a bunch of pictures in it. You need to download that zip file. So once that zip file is in your downloads folder, you should take it and unzip it, and then drag the new folder, Lesson 3, into a folder for your project. So this is my collage project, so I'm putting it in my collage. Alright, so I got my lesson 3 folder. The only things in that so far are my trip photos. So these are just regular old JPEGs. So now I'm going to start working on my HTML document. So I'm going to close up my downloads folder in order to program this. So let's get rid of it. Let's close out the downloads and let's begin. So I'll save this file in my desktop. Let's see, programs for CS, collage, lesson 3. I'm going to be in the same folder as my pictures, so that this website HTML file has easy access to them. I'll call this collage.html. So now I need to generate the basic structure of my web page, and I'm ready to start programming. So one of the things that we did as a class was we worked out the complete grid in advance. So we know that for our grid, we're going to have a container as the initial box. Oh my gosh, typos today. Container as the initial box. Wow. Sorry guys, I'll have to be better at spelling. Container as the initial box. And then inside of that container, we're going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures. Each picture is going to get its own div, so we'll have div. I'm going to give them each a class of item and then an ID of photo 1 so that I can refer to them as a group using this class and refer to them individually using their own IDs. I need 6 photos, so I'm going to put 6 photos, 4, 5, 6, inside of the container. And I'm going to change the number on each photo to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's take a look at how this website looks. So here's my website here. Maybe I'll give it a title, Unit 2, Lesson 3, Collage, save, refresh. And nothing's appearing on the screen. And the reason why this is happening is because divs by themselves have no structure. They contain items and they expand to fit those items. And so right now I can't see them at all. So there's a couple of things that I like to do. And I gave you guys a kind of a cheat sheet for this to help us see them. So we're up to the stage where we've completely written our HTML and it's time to write our CSS. So to write our CSS, we'll go into our style tag. And we'll start to create some temporary background colors just to help us lay out our grid. So we've got body is going to be, let's say, background red. Let's say our container is going to be background green. Let's say our items are each going to have background blue. So we'll save it. Let's refresh our web page. And the whole thing appears red, which should make sense actually. Since the body is red, we've got a totally red body, but then looking at these items, we can't see them because all of these boxes are still empty. And so since the boxes are empty, the divs have 0 height and 0 width, and so they're basically invisible, and that's why we see nothing that's green or blue. So now let's add some minimum widths and minimum heights so we can actually see the structure. So our container is going to have a minimum height that is 100 times or 100% of the viewer heights. So it will fill the entire viewing screen. And now we can see our container. Our items are going to have a minimum height of, we can do 100 pixels, and a minimum width of 100 pixels as well. Now our items should be visible as well. Now it's hard to see them as distinct items because we have 6 of them, and so maybe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And they all look like one, but there's an actual separation in between them. Alright, so now that we can actually see what's going on, it's time to set up the grid that we planned in class. So to set up the grid, we go into the container, display grid, grid template columns. It was 2FR, 1FR, 1FR, 2FR. And we've got grid template rows, and that was 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. Save it, refresh it, and our divs have started to move around in order to fill those slots. So I can press Control, Inspect, and I can click here, and that will actually reveal some features of the grid to me. So let's see. Here we have item 1, photo 2, photo 3, photo 4, photo 5, and photo 6, and you can see that grid just like we set up in class. However, comparing it here, our photos are in the wrong places. So the next thing we need to do is we need to label our grid so that we can place items. So let's use grid template areas. Let's do photo 1, photo 1, photo 1, photo 2, photo 2, photo 3. It'll be photo 4, photo 4, photo 5, photo 5, photo 6, photo 6, photo 6, photo 6, semicolon to end it. Save it, refresh it. Nothing's changed because even though we have the layout set up this way, we don't have, even though we have the layout set up this way, we don't have the items placed yet. To make things a little bit more visible, I'm actually going to add another property called grid gap. And you'll see what grid gap does. It's a pretty self-descriptive property. It adds a gap in between each of the cells. All right, so we've got all 6 of our photos here, but they're not taking up the right spaces. So even though we've labeled our areas, it's now time to place the items by using their IDs so that they end up in the right spots. So let's do the thing with ID photo 1. This div is going to take up grid area P1. And I'm going to do that for each of them, so let me do that real quick. So I have 6 photos, 3, 4, 5, 6. Photo 1, photo 3, photo 4, photo 5, and photo 6. Save it, refresh it, and now I've got the exact same layout that I have here. So next up, it's time for us to add our photos. So instead of having this blue background, we want the background of photo 1 to be the thing located at trip1.jpg. Save it, refresh it, and it's going into the folder and loading the trip1.jpg photo. However, this looks incorrect compared to that. In fact, it's only the top left corner of the photo. So what we're going to do is we're going to put background size, cover, and background position, center, and that will help the photo choose a more appealing, a more appealing section of the photo to display. So now we're going to do something very similar for all of the other photos, so let's do that. Alright, but instead of trip 1, trip 5, trip 4, trip 3, trip 2, now we've got everything set up how we'd like it, and we have all of the photos visible. Alright, so we're pretty much done with the project. It's time to put some finishing touches on it. Since none of our items actually have this blue background showing, I'm going to get rid of that. That changes nothing. Since the background here shouldn't be green, right? The container should have a black background. So now we've got that nice black border that we had there. Similarly, I actually deleted the red background from the body, and rather than color this part black, what I did was I got rid of that by setting the margin and the padding for the HTML and the body to 0. And what this will do is it will completely get rid of all of this padding that the body naturally has, or all this margin that the body naturally has. And so now the images are right up against the edge, but of course I don't really like that either. So the last part is to add the padding back into the container. So because I want the border on the outside to be the same thickness as the border inside, I'll do padding of 10 pixels for the container. And that will put a 10 pixel border on the outside, 10 pixel border from the grid gap in between photos. Now there's one last thing, it's really subtle. You'll see that this actually extends below the viewer height. And so to make it match up with the viewer height, what we can do is we can say that this padding, this border, simple, we use this property where we say for every element, that's what the star means, it says select every element on the page, and then make the border box, the box sizing, border box. And that will make the padding, instead of growing the size of the box, expand inwards so the box stays the same size. Oops, save it, refresh it, and now we have our nice photo layout all complete. So I hope you found this video helpful. The web page is ready to be hosted, and of course you could use similar formatting or totally different formatting with your own pictures to create something of your own design. And actually that's the next assignment. So hope this helps. Bye.